Alright, time for another story debrief. Or rather, a character debrief. I don't even know if that's right. Hello and welcome to Story Debrief. I'm Exotic Owl and I want to talk about Warrior Nun. More specifically, Beatrice and religious trauma. If it's not already obvious, I am not a licensed therapist. So everything I say is solely based on analyzing the character to the best of my ability and seeing how she fits to the research I've done for religious trauma. So first things first, what is religious trauma? The most common definition is when an individual struggles with leaving a religion or a set of beliefs. It often involves the trauma of breaking away from a controlling environment, lifestyle, or religious figure. It technically isn't an official diagnosis, but because of the amount of people that have these similar experiences, the term has since been used to describe what these people went through or are going through. Some symptoms are even comparable to complex post-traumatic stress disorder. On the topic of symptoms, here are most of the symptoms. Poor critical thinking skills, difficulty making decisions, difficulty building strong relationships, being unfamiliar with mainstream culture/isolation, struggling with fitting in and belonging, sleeping issues, eating issues, anxiety symptoms, depression symptoms, confusing thoughts, negative beliefs about self, others, and the world, a lack of pleasure or interest in things you used to enjoy, a loss of community, dissociation, flashbacks, emotional difficulty, socially stunted and awkward behavior, being hyper-aware, feeling responsible for others' internal state and emotions, and lastly, perfectionism. Now, you might be wondering, what causes religious trauma? Some of the causes I read are being forced to religious gatherings, silenced when challenging or disagreeing with a religious idea, using scripture, religious texts, or certain beliefs or rules to justify behavior, shamed or punished if not obeying certain rules outlined by the religion. So yeah, this is all pretty heavy stuff. With all this in mind, I wanted to take a deeper look into Beatrice's actions, or personality, I guess. But before I compare her actions to the symptoms of religious trauma, I am just going to go over her actions with just my own thoughts. Then at the conclusion, I will share with you if I still believe Beatrice has religious trauma. Because once again, I am not a licensed therapist. This is all purely analytical. First, let's look into her actions. Beatrice seems to have trouble comforting people. Like with Camilla in the first episode, it could be because she doesn't know how to express her emotions properly, which we do see when Beatrice tells Father Vincent what happened to Shannon. As Mary describes it, Beatrice's tone sounds like another incident to report. We then see her try to comfort Ava. Ava goes for a hug and Beatrice stands there for a second before resorting to hugging her back and sort of patting her back. It's arguably as awkward as it was with Camilla. She usually goes for a simple shoulder touch. Can't say anything. Which I believe she still does with where she pats Ava. Then later, Beatrice does go to Ava and they have a chat. Here's where she gives Ava more comfort by using her words. This is the sort of comfort Beatrice knows how to give because she always seems to rely on her words. Beatrice is then once again giving Camilla some comfort because, well, she has just been told that she will be residing in another convent. She uses her words again, but Camilla goes for a hug, which Beatrice accepts. This hug is still a bit stiff, but she still tries to put as much emotion in it as she can. Then we see her comfort Ava again when she is going through the cement blocks, but this time she is using her words. But as we all know, when Ava gets through, there is a moment where she doesn't hold back. But then she goes back to look at her tablet in basically her professional mode. I feel like she is holding a lot back. Her actions are sort of methodical. She lets some emotion break through, but based on these actions, I feel like she isn't fully confident with expressing her emotions. Another example is when Lilith appears back in the human world. She gives some reassuring words to Lilith before trying to comfort her physically once Lilith starts to feel pain. Physical comfort comes as a second thought, while words are first. This is just how she comforts people. She doesn't know how else to comfort others. How could she if she doesn't express her full range of emotions to the others to begin with? Now let's talk about her need to take care of everything else but herself. Her fighting all the security guards in order to complete her mission is a great example. She tells Camilla to take leave along with the others. She prioritized their safety before her own for the sake of the mission given to her. I believe this makes her guarded, which, well, Father Vincent does describe her as, so that means I agree with him on one thing. And I'm only gonna agree with him on one thing, because I still very much hate this guy. But anyways, how could I call her guarded if she is at the brink of tears when Camilla is playing piano in honor of Sister Shannon? The keywords are brink of tears. She doesn't let it all go, and well, neither does Lilith or Mary. But that's another topic for another day. Beatrice here doesn't let all her emotions go, which only with time could all come out exploding, just like we see here. But anyways, when Beatrice learns that she'll be sent to a convent in Malaysia, you would think it would make her way more emotional than she appears. But I'm not saying she wasn't hurt, that she didn't want to cry then and there, because it does look like she did. If anything, this probably reminded her of the time she was sent to boarding school by her parents. She even begs Mother Superior not to send her, that this is her home, but she doesn't push her any further, noticing how Mother Superior has made her choice, or noticing how she is doing this because she was told by a person of a higher power, aka Duretti. So Beatrice ends up accepting it, just like she did when her parents sent her away. Since accepting her fate, she doesn't really prioritize herself, but thankfully she does end up not going to Malaysia and helping Mary and Ava with Sister Crimson. I believe she was able to make this choice because she now has a support system in the form of her family in the OCS. But on the topic of Mother Superior and Duretti, let's take a look at her views on authority figures. She seems to hold up respect for Father Vincent and Mother Superior, but not so much for Duretti, which, in her defense, Duretti does do things just to save his reputation. Which, based on what we know about Beatrice's parents, makes sense why she doesn't view him in any good light. Mentioning her parents, let's talk a bit more about them. They are diplomats, conservative, and concerned by appearances. I mean, she does tell Ava this and more when talking about her reason to be in such an emotional state when finishing the story of Sister Melanie. She also tells her that how she started to learn skills just to have some value. Beatrice is still holding on to her past. She holds her parents up in some gray light because I guess she feels like they are right. I mean, she has been told to be normal for most of her life by them and who knows by who else. So yeah, Beatrice's parents suck and Beatrice still needs to find a way to accept herself. Enough with that, let's look into the main authority figure, the one that we do see more often, Father Vincent. I believe he acts more as a sort of parental figure. For example, in this scene, she literally doesn't stay quiet and respectful because her first thought is to ask where Father Vincent is. She truly doesn't care for what Duretti has to say and stays quiet for a while when Mother Superior tells the group to be quiet. Another example is when they are at this meeting with Father Vincent and Duretti in this sort of silent argument that Beatrice has noticed. Beatrice remains logical though, but later on she does confront Father Vincent about what was going on between them. That's when Father Vincent tells Beatrice that the church and the hierarchy are different. which leads to Beatrice telling Doretti that she is loyal to God and not to him. So I can say with full certainty that Beatrice does view Father Vincent and Mother Superior as parental figures. I wish I had more to say about Mother Superior and Beatrice's relationship, but she is hardly on the screen, so I've now just realized how little screen time she's had. I hope to see more of her in season 2. So I guess on to Beatrice's past, and a bit of a closer look into her. Beatrice has said that she took the vows earlier than most, yet she knows that vows aren't the only way to serve the OCS. So why did she vow earlier than most? Also, her being strategic may have been a skill she built when she joined the order. So with that and vowing earlier, possibly she didn't want to look useless and wanted some sense of belonging. In episode 8, this scene where we see Beatrice explain a bit more about her past when she explains her sudden outburst when reading Warrior Nun Sister Melanie's entry, she says, "Pain is what made me a sister warrior." She also says, or rather reads, "unburdened." Her voice punctuates that word. So that could only mean that she still feels a lot of shame. She possibly even feels guilt. But there was something else she said on episode 3 that stood out to me. For context, Beatrice and Ava are talking about the OCS and religion. Ava says that the whole thing wasn't her. Beatrice tells Ava that it wasn't hers either. Could this mean that religion wasn't her thing, or just didn't like what it meant to her at the time? But with being with the OCS, she learns other skills, learns about a community, a support system, a sense of purpose and belonging when all she has experienced was not fitting in or being normal. This is possibly why she accepted the vows earlier. I also remember a time when Beatrice has said that when she got sent to Catholic boarding school, that it has kind of stuck. So this could also contribute to why she vowed earlier than most. Talking about the boarding school, in this scene, Doretti mentions her dossier. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Anyways, it mentions Beatrice spending her free time training in Aikido, Kendo, and archery. Don't know if I said those 2 words right. Anyways, for some odd reason, it calls her a loner as well, which is an odd detail to add, unless I am not remembering this scene correctly. But anyways, this backs up what Beatrice told Ava, how she learned skills in order to have some value. But back to her being sent to a boarding school. This affected her a lot. I mean, even while being away from her parents, she worked on skills that she thought her parents would appreciate. Even while being countries apart, she did things to have value. Also, being sent to a Catholic boarding school and not having any social interactions makes me believe a couple of things. As someone who has been to a Catholic school most of their life, I know that everyone knows everyone. So they possibly knew why Beatrice got sent to the boarding school. Assuming that means that no one wanted to talk to her or even associate themselves with her. This could have made Beatrice even more ashamed of who she is. But like I said, this is all purely speculation. What isn't speculation is the fact that Beatrice has yet to proudly say that she is a lesbian. I hope that she does get to that point though, where she does say it and no longer feels any guilt or shame, that she finally gets her chance to feel unburdened. Do I believe that Beatrice has religious trauma? Yeah, I do. Her symptoms may not align completely with the symptoms I mentioned, but everyone is different. She also has a support system now, so that could have helped her in her healing process. So all these symptoms might not be there as, I guess, severe. She still has a long way to go though, but I think Ava and others are going to help her heal, and as they heal as well. because we all know that there is always more. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and let's go to the end screen so I can ramble for a bit. If at any moments throughout the video you see me looking off the camera, it's because I do have my laptop as a teleprompter, and well, yeah, I forgot some things that I wanted to say, so like I would have to go back and see it again, and I feel like I've like done that like most of the video, so I'm hoping like most of the video is just clips of scenes and whatnot that I've gathered. But anyways, I really do hope you guys like this video so much. Please leave a like and subscribe if you guys want to see more of this, and comment down below what other Warren and content you want me to make, because I am currently still in that brain rot. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, comment down below, share this video because it does help me a lot, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next video. You have been briefed. I can't believe I am keeping that. Yeah, okay, you've been briefed. Goodbye.